Russia thought this war would be decided by tanks, trenches, and numbers. Instead, it's being decided by what fits in the back of a pickup truck. Because on the front line of Ukraine, the most dangerous weapon isn't always the biggest, the loudest, or the most expensive. It's the one you never hear coming. And today, we're breaking down the weapons that are actually shaping the battlefield right now. Not on paper, not in parades, but where people are actively fighting, dying, and adapting in real time. And trust me, you will need a chair because you're about to learn how embarrassed a superpower has been. Let's start where modern wars now begin. FPV kamikaze drones, the $400 nightmare. Once upon a time, drones were for filming weddings and influencers. Ukraine turned them into guided rage. FPV kamikaze drones cost less than a used iPhone, and yet they've turned million-dollar Russian tanks into burning content for Telegram. These drones don't just hit armor. They chase it, they wait. They dive through open hatches like they're late for rent. Russian crews now drive with cages, nets, grills, and sometimes pure optimism welded on top, which tells you everything you need to know about how scared they are. And here's the scary part. FPVs don't need air superiority. They don't need runways. They just need a laptop, a battery, and line of sight. But if drones are the mosquitoes of the battlefield, the next weapon is the hammer. Artillery. Still the king of kill counts. Wars change. Physics doesn't. Artillery still causes the majority of casualties on both sides, and Russia knows this better than anyone. Russia fires more shells per day than most countries keep in storage. Ukraine fires fewer, but smarter. Western-supplied howitzers like the M777 and Caesar don't just shoot farther, they shoot accurately. And accuracy means you don't need 10 shells when one will ruin everyone's afternoon. Artillery now isn't about saturation alone. It's about speed. Fire, move, disappear, before the counter-battery radar finishes blinking. And that brings us to the weapon that made Russian ammo depots a recurring explosion genre. HIMARS, the logistics killer. HIMARS doesn't win battles. It wins arguments inside enemy headquarters. This system turned Russian supply lines into stress tests, ammo dumps exploding, command posts evaporating, bridges suddenly becoming abstract concepts. The psychological effect was brutal. Russian officers stopped sleeping near headquarters. Generals stopped visiting the front. And logistics hubs moved farther back, slowing everything. HIMARS didn't just destroy targets. It forced Russia to fight worse. But Russia adapted. And when adaptation meets desperation, you get glide bombs. Russian glide bombs, the poor man's Air Force. When Russian aircraft couldn't safely fly over the front, Moscow did the next best thing. They threw gravity a steering wheel. By bolting guidance kits onto old Soviet bombs, Russia created glide munitions that can be dropped from far behind the lines. No air defense engagement required. These bombs flatten trenches. They erase buildings. They don't care how motivated you are. Ukraine hates them because they work. But glide bombs have one big weakness. They need planes, and planes need to survive, which brings us to the weapon that made pilots nervous again. Man-pads, the shoulder-fired nope. Stingers, Igla, Starstreak, man-portable air defenses turned the sky into a trust exercise and failed it. Low-flying helicopters, risky. Attack runs, dangerous. Resupply flights, short. Man-pads don't need radar. They don't announce themselves. They just wait. Russian pilots adapted by flying higher, which made them less accurate, which made ground troops angrier, which is never a great feedback loop. But while man-pads deny the air, the next weapon dominates the ground. Anti-tank missiles, still humbling armor. Javelin didn't win the war, but it absolutely won the internet. Top attack profiles made Russian armor feel obsolete overnight. Tanks designed for Cold War breakthroughs suddenly defeated by soldiers hiding behind trees. What really hurt wasn't just the losses. It was the realization that armor without infantry support is just a very expensive coffin, which forced Russia back into trenches. And trenches introduced the most brutal weapon of all,